the one person they had to deal with, and my lovely wife also, but the one person they had to deal with, it was me.
Yeah, it's all bad. That's bad. You're in trouble. Don't go, Daddy, please.
But doesn't that make you? It makes you think. And even within relationships, there are times when in a relationship, you know that if you do a certain thing, that the other significant person is just going to go way out of whack, and it's going to be bad. And so you have to think about those things. I've grown into that thought process as I've gotten older.
Some reactions are just not worth the stress of going through what you think you should do, what you want to do in it. You just think, no, it ain't worth it. I just don't want to hear it.
And even though sometimes you may think that it's worth it, or you think you're doing it for a good reason, man, there are sometimes, as I learned from my lovely wife, she would say, hey, y'all just give me the turd. Let me eat the turd now. And so that don't serve it to me in small morsels. Over a long time, give the whole thing to me, let me get rid of it and get it over with so I can get past it.
Otherwise, if you're going to keep drip feeding me this, it's going to be a hot mess for you. Because I don't want to have to go back and relive it and deal with another part of that saga. No, it's all bad. So I just was curious to know, what would people do? People, we know we are sharing this. It's Share Saturday once again. At Ask-Avani-Show, you can go and you can look at these articles, share, like, and just tell us what you think, because, oh my God. Some of them, when I saw them, it was just hilarious. Link 9, K-Rose. Now, I'm curious. Raise your kids the Caribbean way. When I saw this video, I liked it because it brought back memories. And again, see, when you were talking about the applying the pressure, or the look, it's going to be known as that now. You know that, innit? The look. Okay. The look of discipline, which means don't even think about continuing with your foolishness, right? So some of the things that we, as you know, growing up as kids, will go through, the look or the pressure, or in worst case scenario, you're going to get the beating, the whooping of your life.
Yep.
And it didn't matter whether it was with the hand, the towel, the paddle, the branch, whatever it was that you got beaten with, the belt, whatever it was, you knew. If it gets to that point, you're in so much trouble and you're going to be in pain too. So it's not even fun. But when I saw this video, I thought it was very funny because it just made me think of, oh my God, yeah. Because it just goes to show you that a lot of parents, what they were taught is how they will teach their kids, and the things that they will say to their kids as well when they're telling them, listen, I'm going to skin you alive and all them. You're just like, oh my God. Can you imagine as a 4-year-old or something and your parent telling you, I'm going to skin you alive. You did that again. You know, you wouldn't. It makes you think. Even to this day, as you get as older as an adult, when you can remember things like that, it makes you realise that at that time, as a little toddler, you were terrified, and you realise, you know what, I ain't gonna do that again, because I don't want to be skinned alive. I don't want to be beaten to a minute into my life, and I know that my mother or father is not pleased with me. For them to be telling me that, I'm in big trouble. I'm in big trouble. Oh, people. I tell you, I knew today was going to be very funny. And I told you we had some things to share. So it's just, now this is something I'm curious to know. Have you ever, I don't know about this if you have, K-Rose, but as a parent, you can tell us. Link 13. How do you feel when a friend parents your child and you don't like it? What would you say? And
that's in different forms as far as disciplining, right?
Yeah.
And again, I have like an open discipline policy with certain people that I trust my child with.
Okay.
And so that open discipline policy is to both ways also. If your son or daughter is in my care for whatever that time frame is, relative children, good friends, children, etc. If your friend or daughter is in my care, there's an open discipline policy. I'm not going to beat your child just to be beating them. But I will discipline them depending on the age and depending on what needs to be done, depending on the level of their, what they're doing. And so I'm okay with that as long as it is warranted and the spanking is warranted.
Yeah, but what are you classes warranted though?
They're toddlers, and you tell them, hey, don't touch that, and then they slap your hand because you're still trying to touch something that may cut your hand or burn you or something. That's warranted to me.
Yeah, to make you realize, don't stop it. You mustn't do that. It's not good.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm really okay with that. And but if my child would come back and said that Uncle so and so slapped me,
Oh.
That's going to cause me and Uncle so and so to have some uncle problems. Because I wouldn't slap my own son, so I wouldn't expect you to slap him, and so that's a whole. It's a party getting ready to happen at that point.
Party at the
But
you hit my job.
But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them disciplining. I have some good friends of my son, my younger son, and they tell us all the time, hey, if he's out of line, because they don't expect him to be anyway, and I wouldn't expect him to be. But hey, if they get out of line, hey, do what you need to do, because we do the same thing with your son, and I'm okay with that.
And because it's like, what's that saying? It takes a village.
Yes.
They say that, don't they? Especially in like African countries and that. So I suppose in that sense, you're giving them the authority over your child when you are not there, almost. So
exactly.
It's like continuing so the child knows, because they say that kids want boundaries and they need them. Obviously,
they do.
Boundaries and certain sets of disciplines to know, okay, this is not cool. Do not do this. Don't do this and don't do that. And obviously it's not just don't do this, don't do that. It's, why you're telling them don't do this. It's for their well-being, and it's for their good, so that they know don't do that because you could hurt yourself. You're not just trying to tell them stuff just because.
Well, you're giving them guidelines, and you're giving them lanes to stay in so that they don't go in the ditch and have something happen to them.
Yeah.
And as I have gotten older, I have been known to accidentally trip a child in the store that may be, or accidentally nudge them a little bit in the head to get there, because I'm from the village mentality. Now, I'm not going to beat a child, I don't know, or just trip them and slam them into a wall or something.
Oh, God, wow.
But I have been known to do that, and I have been known to ask them, when they're running through the store, and I have been known to ask them, where is your parents? Where are your parents at? Where's your mother? Where's your father? Come on, let's go find them. I will take them back to their parents. Yeah. And have a discussion like, hey, your child was over here and he was doing some things that were dangerous and he could have hurt himself. I want to make sure you know that, and here's your child. This child is 5 rows away running up and down an aisle, and then you are over here looking for ink for your toner or your printer.
Because they get so carried away, but kids, oh God, you got to have eyes in the back of your head. You turn around, they're there. You turn around again, and you're like, where's little Johnny? He's just run off. And you never notice they've gone because they're so light on their feet,
But you don't know what could happen to them. Also, we live in a horrible world, and they could have been grabbed up by somebody or dragged in a restroom. So you have to be careful. Don't just let your children run amok in the store because old man K. Rose is gonna grab them.
Yeah, you don't know what's who's out there watching you, not watching them, almost.
That's
kind of
right.
thing. You don't know what's going on. But I have to ask this question, Link 21. Now, is this even possible? See, because we've been talking about it, obviously, that is the topic of today's show. I want to know, because I know there's going to be some parents out there who will probably be laughing and saying, no, it ain't, it's not possible. You can't discipline your kids without threats and tears. So I'm curious, do you think it's possible, K-Rose? And do you think it can depend on the type of child and their personality, etc. as well? Can you do it? Can you discipline your kids without threats and tears?
Oh, yeah. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. It's a mind thing. And from just having relationships, there were times, I'm sure, I am absolutely sure of this. There were times you were in relationships when your significant other person needed to understand something that upset you, and you didn't cry, you didn't yell, you just did something that made them aware that they had messed up, and it's a mind thing. And you can do that as parents if you're a good parent, and I do separate good from bad parents.
So it's definitely doable then.
Oh man, I do it all the time. There are times
from the parenting guru for today.
I'm not a guru. No, I'm not. Let me stop you right there. I'm not a guru.
Yeah, but you have the experience, so you can share with the listeners, because there's some people out there who are maybe just embarking on parenthood.
Yeah, well, that part I can say. Yeah, Well, but there are times when you have to really give them a mental thrashing. And because you can do that, because you're a parent, and as long as you don't continually do it, and you're not mentally abusive to them. But my sons, I have had used to do it all the time. They didn't even know it. And if they listen to this podcast, they'll probably think back and say, "When did he do this? Is that why he was doing?" Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, and then they can say, but now they probably appreciate it for what it was.
They'll never appreciate it. Nope. They'll never appreciate it.
He said, no, they won't. But that's kids, isn't it? They'll just be like, I don't appreciate that, because why did you do that, Dad?
They won't appreciate it. They may use it with their children. Maybe they'll have an appreciation then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it only who feels it knows it, right? So they'll be like, okay, I did this to my dad, and so now I understand now why my dad did what he did. Right. But that only comes down the line, innit? You say when it comes, they say it comes back round. What goes around comes around almost. Well,
I know it definitely comes around. But that's the other thing about it. I have to understand the things I did when I was younger. It was more than likely it's going to come back at me. Uh-huh. And so those people that are young people that listen to this podcast and listen to the show, remember all the stuff you did when you were younger. All of it is going to come back to you, and you're going to relive it when you have your own children, or even if you don't have your own children, because you may be just in a relationship, somebody is going to treat you the same way. That's just the way karma works.
Oh, dear. You're just on it now for people like, oh, no, I don't want to go through all that.
But you can't stop some of it now. When you did something when you were 12, I know there were some things I did when I was younger that if I could have stopped it then, man, because I'm reliving it now.
Yeah, but you didn't know it was going to come back.
I didn't know. And same thing with you. You didn't know. You just... but that's part of having a good spirit. I mean, when you have a good spirit, I think you have a good spirit. And I don't think you did anything mean to anybody when you were younger. Yeah. And so I don't think that type thing will follow you. Some people will still be mean. But, you weren't a bully when you were small, so... I hope not. Were you a bully, Avani? When you?
I don't think so. I think I try to be the peacemaker or the intermediary at most times. Obviously, that don't always work because who's perfect? And listen, when people want to fisticuffs and fight, don't cry. They ain't interested in you trying to step in it, and if you don't get out of the way quick enough, you might get the beating, you might get the punch in the face, so you need to just step aside. Sometimes you have to let people just do what they got to do. But yes, I have to say this though, Link 23, K-Rose, I'm curious to know what you think. 10 things you should never say to your kids. Now, when I saw that, I thought that was very funny because I'm just thinking, okay, 10 things you should never say to your kids. They actually broke it down. And I thought, okay, so one is great job. And I thought, well, why not? But then it's almost like they're saying, oh, well, it's a bit patronizing and it's a bit generic. So it's just sort of like, almost like patting them on the head and you're not really paying too much attention to them. I thought, okay, fair enough. Number 2 was practice makes perfect. But again, I think, obviously sometimes it's not just what you say, but how you say it, I think, in the context, innit?
Right. See, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't agree with it because I was thinking, well, no, because it does. And if you want to motivate your child to do more of something so that they get better at it, don't you want to sort of say to him, yeah, keep doing it because then you'll get better at it? So in effect, yes, practice does make perfect.
Well, they're trying to say you can't ever be perfect, which I do understand. I understand you can't ever be, nothing is absolutely perfect, but I think you can have a feeling that something was a perfect day. It's a relative thing. So I think you can say that without damaging their brains.
Yeah, damage the oh god. Well, number 3 was you're okay. And again, I thought, are they trying to say it's a bit patronizing? Because this one says here, it says, when your child scrapes his knee and bursts into tears, your instinct may be to reassure him that he's not badly hurt. But telling him he's fine may only make him feel worse. And I'm thinking, okay. So your kid is crying because he's not okay, says Dr. Berman. I'm thinking, okay. But you don't want them to be a crybaby and get all wussy every time they fall over neither. So it's that fine balance, isn't it? Because then you're not always going to be around to pick them up, isn't it?
Right. Who wrote this? First, let's get this. Keep going. Keep going. We'll talk about this. But who wrote this? Okay.
And number 4, when it says hurry up, I'm thinking, yeah, but sometimes you have to jog them along because there's an advert, right, that I saw that made me die. And basically, I can't even remember what it was for. I think it was for furniture or something like that. But the child was eating his breakfast and the dad was basically pulling the breakfast tray out the breakfast bowl away from the child and pushing him into his coat and saying, come on. He never talked to him. He just pulled the breakfast. He hadn't even finished. He took the cereal away, put the child in the coat, pushed the packed lunch on the child and basically grabbed him, pulled him out the door. I'm like, oh my God.
No, that's extreme.
Yeah, but I just thought, okay, so what they're saying is you can't tell your child to hurry up. Why not?
Well, that's a lack of planning on the parent